Okay. We've done it. By George, we've done it. Okay. So let's jump in. You guys know that you are here for the Oakbridge Community Q&A. Glad that you guys have been making an effort to be connected to each other. That does make a big difference, and you'll get the most out of it. So, WhatsApp group may be the way to promote you guys to connect to each other in the future. I know that not having somewhere live, that's actually something we're going to be working on with Oakbridge, is trying to improve the sort of the user experience of like working between things, I guess, like communication between people, like simplifying it, because I just don't feel like it's very effective in the way that it's done right now. So anyway, that's just some thoughts. So I am live on multiple things, but I do give preference to people who are live here. And today we have a lot of you, which I love. We always love having people live here. This is a really underutilized resource for sure. So I'm glad that you guys are here. And yeah, so you'll be able to ask anything that you want to ask. Yeah, that's what I got. So I'll open it up to, you guys always get preference because you guys are here live, and then everybody else in the other social media things, you guys can ask questions about your development, healing, mediumship, psychic, any of those things, but I will get to them as soon as I can. So anyway, here we go. Who would like to start us off with their questions? You can just raise your hand or unmute yourself, whatever is clever. Yep, Jolene.
Okay, so I had a question about sitting in the power and expanding my energy or my awareness. And I kind of remember somebody had mentioned like our energy or our awareness likes to expand naturally.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is possible, but I feel like my energy or my awareness likes to retract. Like especially if my eyes are closed, I'm kind of like all in, Yeah. And so is it something that I have to work to maintain keeping it out?
Because I know it's just habit. So it may just be habit that your focus is different from your energy's natural desire to expand. So what I'm hearing is you're describing your focus tends to want to go inward. And that's different from my energy naturally wanting to expand. Because when we relax and we let go, our energy will automatically start to do that. It's not something we have to learn to do. It's not something that we have to do anything about. It's just that, are we actually letting go? Are we actually surrendering? Are we able to self-focus in that way? But your focus is different. So that may be something that you need to practice to kind of keep it wider. So in the sitting in the power meditation, I kind of walk you, into this space, and then kind of feel the body, and then kind of come out here. That's your first moment of kind of going beyond the body. And then we kind of go in front of you, behind you, your left, your right, above you, that sort of arm's length around you. That's all in the attempt to get your attention wider, right? So that I'm paying attention in here and out here. It's going to be natural for you to want to take your attention back to the body, because that's generally where you feel sensations, right? Like they kind of happen here. But as you relax more, you'll recognize, that I'm starting to feel a little bit fatter. I'm starting to feel a little bit thicker. I'm starting to feel like the atmosphere is becoming denser. That is the thing. That is you being able to sense and feel your energy. That is a sign that your energy is opening. Does that make sense, Jolene?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I do feel like when you go through the meditation or the sitting in the power, I do feel like I'm able to get there wider. But I feel like I'm always coming back to,
which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. It is fine. You just, what you have to do is just then remind yourself, okay, if I feel like I'm too much here, let me see if I can go back to that outward feeling. And you'll find that oftentimes when you do that outward feeling thing, you'll start to notice more tingling, more buzzing, more sensations, right? Like as I take my attention wider, I tend to notice a little bit more that's happening in that atmosphere. When I kind of get too tight in here, that starts to dip away, right? Like that starts to lessen.
Mhm.
So that's a good sort of biofeedback marker for you that am I keeping my attention wide or am I getting a little bit too in here? So having your attention wide is where we want to try to be, right? And then there's going to be things that are going to draw our attention. But rather than go, I'm here because I'm paying attention to it now, and I stay here and I stay here and I focus more, I want to kind of go, touch it, notice it, relax, do less.
Okay.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
That's great. And then I had one other question as far as the guided or inviting our guides in.
Yeah.
So everything I feel is so subtle. But like I'll have, like earlier today I had, just like a stream of like information. It felt like it was bombarding me, and it just like totally threw me off. But not, there was very subtle feelings with that. So in that moment, I feel like I just kind of was like, okay, I got this information and now I'm just done. Because do you have any tips for like I actually tried to like stop the flow of information because it was like so much.
So what you want to do is you want to notice it, accept it, relax, do less. So even if information is coming to you, you have to just roll with it. That's the skill, right? Is learning how to not let your attention go, oh, here's all this stuff happening and now I'm paying attention to it, right? Like that's the whole skill you're learning in this process, because there's going to be times where things are going to take your attention. They are going to grab your awareness. But one thing you have to like plant in your subconscious is this idea that I can always return to it. I can always return back to that, rather than just because there's a disruption doesn't mean it's over. It just means that my attention became narrowed and I started to hard focus because I'm now paying attention to whatever that thing that took my interest. Right. And now, like, is it going to happen again? Is it not going to happen again? Like, am I going to get more information? Right. Like, our whole reactivity starts to happen. So what we need to learn to do is like, go, okay, that happened. I'm going to soften, relax, do less. I'm going to go, okay, cool. That's okay. That might happen again. That might not happen again. I have no freaking clue. Let's see what happens. And I just soften and let go. Does that make sense?
Okay, that's super helpful. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, but that's cool that you're having those kinds of different little experiences. It's not necessarily the goal, but those things do occur.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like, I was like, no, that's not what's supposed to be happening. I'm supposed to be looking for like feelings. And while there was some subtle feelings, which I can always amount to, I always find like a reason for the feeling, because they're so subtle. But yeah, I was trying to stop the flow of information because I was like, no, that's not the point of this. But yeah, I get what you're saying. And
yeah, it's always better to allow and move with than it is to try to inhibit. Right.
Okay.
So, and that's just true in mediumship in general, and like any of this stuff, it's always better to move with an experience and just accept it rather than try to stop it, shift it, do something like that, because that will always create tension and that will make it actually harder. So you always want to move with an experience and not try to fight it. And then let's say, you're getting lost in your own thoughts and things like that. All you have to do is just very kindly and gently to yourself, just go, okay, and I'm going to bring my attention back to the breath. And that just helps you anchor into something again.
Thank you so much for answering those.
Of course. Lily?
Hi. Related to the question about where our awareness goes once it's expanded. So when we start blending with the white light and our consciousness moves upward, that's where our awareness goes. Are we then focused there, or are we in like continuing to like make our awareness in that expanded state?
So once you kind of go up into that higher state into your awareness, you are continuing to let go. So you'll always continuously let go, which may shift and change through your experience, right? So it's never like an arrival. It's always this is where I am now, and then I relax, do less. This is where I am now I relax, do less. And like that relaxing, do less will start to shift and change your experience as you go. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. So that's related to my second question, which was like, I think the first part I'm experiencing more consistency in terms of like feeling my energy, but the second part, there's nothing consistent. I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to be experiencing. If you can shed any more light on that.
You just have to keep letting go. That's all you have to do. Your job is soft focus, do less. And then you might notice a shift or a change, and then you soft focus and do less. And what will often happen at some point is that you just stop even paying attention to what's changing and shifting, and you sort of drift into like this altered state of awareness, this sort of maybe sleepy feeling, this maybe very what's the word I'm looking for? I guess altered is the best one that I can say. And like you may lose time, you may lose, all kinds of things. Like so there's no real destination. It's just being present with what is. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. And I like to think of it kind of like an airplane taking off. I'm assuming most of us have been in airplanes before. When an airplane takes off, right, as it's starting to, come off the ground and make its way towards cruising altitude, almost always you get like some level of turbulence, right? Like some sort of experience as it's moving through the different jet stream layers, right? So as it's moving up, you're going to feel this, 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 right? Then what starts to happen is eventually you get to cruising altitude, and then things generally are like a lot more smooth or consistent. That's kind of what sitting in the power is like. As you're, starting that journey, you're going to feel sensations, you're going to notice different things are going to start happening. That's not the goal. That's actually not where you're meant to stop. The goal isn't just to feel sensations. Those are the turbulence along the way as you move into a higher state of awareness, which we might call cruising altitude. And that's when maybe you don't feel as much, you don't experience as much, but you're sort of drifting away into, that awareness. Does that make sense at all?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely felt that at moments, but it's always like changing. And so.
Yes, it is changing. It's always changing. That's right. And so what we're learning to do is there's no arrival. It's just a matter of moving with what is. And that's what mediumship all is about. That's like the thing is moving with what is. Let me just jump here. Do you ever lose connection? Oops, what the hell did I do? There we go. Do you ever lose connection during, I'm assuming you're saying during a reading, or I'm assuming that's what you mean. And how do you bring it closer? It's softening, it's soft focus, it's doing less. That will always increase your connection to the spirit. You usually are losing a sense of connection when you're hard focusing on something, when you are trying to do something, when you're going into your thinking mind, when you're doing these kinds of things, that's creating tension, and that tension causes a loss of connection. The more we soften and keep our attention and relaxed and open and indifferent, that's how we maintain our connection. And that's true even if you're sitting in the power. That's true if you're doing a reading. That's true if you're doing anything, doing healing, doing trance, doing anything. The more that you start to come into the picture, the more tension that you're going to bring to it, or thinking mind. And none of what we do with the spirit world is related to our thinking mind. It's not. Our thinking mind isn't the thing that's doing the work. And that's the thing that's hard for our brains to fully grasp, because we think, wait, but I have to do something to have an experience. And what we're trying to demonstrate through your sitting in the power, through the soft focus exercise, the less I do, the more I experience. So that's what we're trying to teach you. And you will find that that's actually the underlying thing for psychic awareness, mediumship awareness, healing energy. All of these things all fall in this same principle. If I let go of control more, spirit can fill in that gap. Florian?
Hi.
Hi.
I think I asked kind of about this before. One of my biggest problems is I'm such like a visual thinker. Like I just see so much like in my mind, and it's the one thing is like going to the heart space is like, is it okay? Does it make sense to like visualize? Like I'm just like struggling to not like visualize a space when I do that, and I just feel conflicted because I know we talked about not thinking of images, not doing that.
Yeah, so essentially, you are going to have to learn how to become disinterested in the visuals because they're not helpful. Like, and that's what you have to really get into your subconscious. It's like, these things are not helping me stay focused where I want to keep my attention, which is only on feeling. So there may be also a little part of us that feels a sense of wanting something to occur. And that's easy for me to experience that if I visualize it versus waiting for something to shift and change so that you can experience the actual thing. So we really want to go, every time you see a picture, you need to train yourself. That's not important. What am I feeling? So you go, I see something, right? Because your brain's going to want to do that. And then you adjust it and you go back to, well, what is that making me feel like? What sensations can I notice right now? If I don't feel anything, great. That means I'm way too focused in the visual. So let me go take my attention back down here and then outward so that I can feel into that atmosphere around me. And that will often help to reinvigorate the sensations, like we were talking with Jolene a second ago. It's like the wider my awareness is, the more that I'm able to actually sense and feel.
That makes sense. Thank you. And so like we're physically and literally taking our awareness to space where your heart is.
Yeah, it's more so, yes, it is that, but that's the first stop. You don't stay there because that would actually cause you to be too in here. It's I'm taking my attention here, journeying down here, but then from here, I'm opening, allowing, surrendering.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. I definitely understand better.
Perfect. Kia?
Yeah. So I have two questions. They're kind of a little bit nuanced to what you've already discussed with
Sure.
Florian and Jolene.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm still a little confused.
Okay, yeah.
So the first one is in regards to sensation. You talk a lot about, and even in your book, you talk about like feeling the sense of like nerve endings going out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, and I don't know if this is coming because I did a long stint in a Vipassana meditation, which I feel like is very, very similar to kind of what's happening here. But what's happening to me is that I am almost like melting. So there's no like fibers going out, but I almost feel like there's that dissolution between like, I like can't even like feel my hands. I can't feel my body. I feel like I'm melting. And is that the same thing as the nerve fibers or is it different? Is it?
Yeah, I don't want you to take the nerve fibers as a literal thing. It's not literal. It's just a prompt to help you to take your attention wider and a prompt to help you to have a sense of, oh, I'm feeling outward rather than just thinking about outward. Does that make sense? So it's
kind of,
it's
I guess the nuance is that I don't feel like I'm feeling outward. I feel like I'm not, it's almost like I'm forgetting there is a me. And I don't know if that's the intent.
That probably is you've passed the point where that's useful, meaning like you've passed the point where the nerve endings going outward is even useful. So that's useful in the beginning. By the time you're not feeling you're already in the slot. You're already there. It's like all of this starts to sort of disappear and blend with all that is, right? Like, in fact, your attention is the reason you don't even feel yourself is because your attention is so tuned to the spiritual that your physicality feels numb. It feels not there. It feels not connected because you're not identifying this anymore. You're in this.
Okay, and that's okay then.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's great.
And then quickly, the second one, I don't know if there's a way around it because I don't get visuals because of the aphantasia, but what's been happening specifically since I started all the sitting is I'm getting really, really intense, high-pitched frequency in my ears. And like, it's not something I can make stop. They're just like it's there and it's just like, like almost like pulsing, but I don't know what to do about that. I don't know. It's not something I can try to be like, don't pay, like you just can't not pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know like if you had any thoughts on what that is or what.
Yeah. So what I would do is just like if you had sounds and noises and things like that happening in the space around you, we learn to utilize those things as a tool rather than just letting it be a distraction. So for example, if my cat was scratching at the door and be like, let me in, right? Or if, there was someone jackhammering outside, what I want to do is I want to use every time that I tell myself, every time I hear that, every time I experience that, it's a reminder to let go and do less. So what you start doing is you start shifting your attention so that it doesn't become something that is kind of going against you. It's something that is actually becoming a tool to utilize. So when you hear the ringing, you have to accept that it's there. There is no option to ignore it. There is no option to not pay attention to it. So we're going to do two things. One, we're going to go, thank you. That's helping me to remember. Soften, relax, do less, right? Soften, relax, do less. So my reaction and response to it every time is soften, relax, and do less. And then the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to go, that sound is there, and what else am I aware of? Right? So that's a gentle redirection of your attention to let that thing be there rather than try to get rid of it. We're accepting its presence, and then we're being open to it shifting again. Does that make sense? And we're saying, what else is here? I like to think of it like a pie chart, right? Like if this is my distraction section of the pie chart, I go, okay, cool. Rather than that taking all my focus, I'm going to go, that's there. And what else is there, right? There's more of the pie chart that other things can be occurring. We let it be there. We don't try to fight it. And then we go, what else is here?
Okay. Yeah, that's very helpful because I don't think I was trying to expand it. I was more like, stop.
Yeah.
So
remember, any sort of resistance is tension inducing, and what we resist persists, right? So we want to let that piece go. Any recommendations for how to build clairaudience? I typically hear one or two words. And yes, so the thing with clairaudience is that you can do exercises that might be able to start to increase it or develop it in some way. But the reality is that your clairaudience is something that comes when you are surrendered, relaxed, and indifferent about the outcome. The more that you let go, it tends to be one of the things that comes when we are the most surrendered, the most relaxed, the most indifferent. So it's hard to say, do this exercise and you will experience clairaudience. It's more so the more you let go, the more you don't attach yourself to anything, the more often your clairaudience is going to kick in and you're going to experience it even more. So that's the answer to that one. Jess?
Hi. Kia, we are having similar experiences because my first question, there's two short ones. My first one is you mentioned feeling denser. I feel like melted ice cream every time. That's the only way that I can explain it. And I also, the energy feels thinner, like also like a river. Is that okay? Or am I, because then I get into my head like, this is not right.
What may be happening is that because you're so attentive to this, you're not paying as much attention to out here. So as soon as you take your attention to arm's length around you, you will more likely start to feel the denseness, the thickness, the pressure, all of that sort of thing. It's because we become too focused in this little outline. And then that's why we go, well, I don't exist anymore. And my attention's here and I'm still only feeling this. You have to take your attention wide.
Okay.
Yeah,
that totally makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece, I have a background in meditation and kind of channeling and just getting into it. And so it may be sort of caused by that, because if I'm done, I'm done. But with the sitting in the power meditation, I will be in it, really locked in, and then my eyes pop open and I'm pulled out. And I don't know if I should just honor that as okay, we can come back later, or if I should be no, let's corral the energy back.
I think you can play with both. I think you can sometimes honor it if it feels like that feels complete. And then other times I would say, is this just habit? Can I get back into the experience once I've had that disruption? Because the answer is yes. I mean, there's been times where I sit and my eyes pop open for whatever reason. And then I go, usually it's because something's about to happen and that's why they popped open. Like, for example, someone's about to call, someone's about to barge in the room, someone's about to do something, and it's right before it happens. You're kind of like, what the fuck is going on? And then suddenly the thing happens. You're like, oh, cool. They were taking me out so I didn't get, startled or whatever. That's very nice of them. But that's not necessarily always the case. Sometimes that's just us. And if that's the case, and I know, okay, I want to complete this time, then I will just go right back into it. Because it's not like it's a package. It's like once you've completed it, it's complete. It's like it's a journey, right? It's an unfolding. You move with the ebbs and the flows of what occurs.
Got it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sandy.
Hey guys, kind of piggybacking on what everybody's already asking, because we have our little WhatsApp group, so we're kind of like, are you guys feeling this? But is it weirdly common, or I don't know what, but I'm always getting like heart palpitations, like when I'm trying to like focus here, and I'm like, whoa, why am I tripping out? Like, it's just like a lot of heart palpitations, and then it does go away. So I don't know if that's like a part of it,
Yeah, actually, for some people, and obviously I would say make sure you get this medically checked first.
Yeah.
So let's start by saying that. But secondly, for some people, actually they feel heart flutters or heart sort of increase and things like that when spirit starts to draw near.
Oh,
so that is
cool.
not an uncommon thing to experience. And so, yeah.
Okay.
That's not an unusual thing.
And then the other one is I went to your website and I downloaded, a couple of the things on there. How, I know Megan's like, oh, you guys said we can do the one meditation and then add the other one. But I feel like I finished one and I go, okay, now let's go do this one. How do I combine them to one?
So the trick would be that you don't actually use the meditation for the second part. You just, at the end of your sitting in the power, you offer the intention, okay, spirit, guide, helper, whatever, can you come close to me? Let me feel your closeness. And then you relax, let go, and wait for any shift. And then you ask again, relax, let go, wait, and then ask again, relax, let go, wait. And then that's how you would just incorporate that exercise. Because the first half of all of that stuff in the guide meditation is just to get you attuned, right? But if you've been sitting in the power for 30 minutes, you're already in that state. And so therefore you can just add it in by inviting the guide to step into your energy.
I think it's just kind of not hard, but I think because I'm used to hearing your voice saying, okay, do this,
Yeah, and in that case, just do them back to back. I mean, that's all you have to do. You just do them back to back, and you just got to do that until you get so used to being able to do it without my voice guiding you, because that's the other thing. Or you can just do them separately. But the idea is that the more that you get comfortable and with like where it becomes second nature to let go and to surrender, these are like your training wheels. The meditations are your training wheels. And then once it's really in you, you don't necessarily need to use any kind of meditation to achieve anything, right? Like you can just go into it, right? Does that make sense, Sandy?
Yeah, but I'm still feeling like I'm falling asleep at the end, like I'm nodding off, so.
Sure.
And I'm just like, oh,
it's okay. I mean, it could be that you're tired. It could be the time of day. It could be that you're just very relaxed, and maybe, I don't know, that's not what you're used to. It's okay for you to have a little nod off. It's not the end of the world.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, a little bit's okay. Too much, sleeping through the whole thing, not as good, but a little bit is okay.
All right, cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. Kia.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to tag on a little bit to what Sandy was saying. But I think it's interesting for those of us who have like wearable biometrics. So
Sure.
I'm pretty attached to my Aura ring.
Mm-hmm.
So I notice, so it's good to hear. Yay. So it's good to hear that it's normal, because anytime I am doing my sitting, my heart rate goes up, my physiological stress goes up. So that was one of my questions. I didn't mean to ask, like, I'm assuming it's okay, because it's not like this throughout any other time of the day. It's specifically when I'm sitting in the power, all of a sudden, like, I'm hitting the stress range and my heart rate's up. And so what do you think is happening? Like, what is spirit doing that's making the body do that? Just curious.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting, because I also have noticed that sometimes too. that sometimes when you're going to sit, sometimes it can actually increase the physiological markers. I would say most of the time, though, it as you sit in it, it will start to go down. Granted, you're only sitting for 30 minutes, which is all it does sort of measure. If you were sitting for longer, I bet you anything it would drop, right? But I think when we go to sit, especially when it's something new, it can be that there's some subconscious tension or pressure, or like, I have to do something now, right? And so then we start to feel that, unconscious pressure. Does that make sense? That's what I think is happening when you're actually working with spirit. Thank you, Florian. When you're actually working with spirit, it's actually quite interesting, because I find that it depends. Mediumship tends to kind of elevate everything. I notice is like when I'm in the zone and I'm working, it tends to elevate things. But if I'm working in other ways, it'll be interesting. It's just interesting because I think it depends on what measurement you're taking. Because I think when I'm working in mental mediumship, my brain waves, if I was doing to EEG, I think it would be, or is it EKG? EEG. I think it would show less prefrontal cortex activity if I was to do that, versus maybe my physiological stress might show something else, right? Because I do think that there's a mixture of letting go and a mixture of ramping up at the same time. So it's a very interesting sort of thing, but maybe that's an experiment to do, Kia. It's like, we're going to be posting up the hour-long sitting in the power as well. That might be worth checking out, because, I always say the first 15-ish minutes of being able to, sit, your brain is going, and you're like trying to shift gears, right? So that's already half the time. And then, once you're actually in it, it's probably when you're getting closer to the end of the meditation anyway. And I'm certain that would probably, well, I'm assuming, I don't actually know, but I'm assuming that would start to lower it. I love that I have my logical folks in this, because I am definitely the teacher for you. Because that is me. Like, I'm the same way. I ask those same questions. I look at all those same sort of things. So every time I have like my logical, like evidence-based people, I'm like, welcome home, my babies, because this is where it's at. So I always feel really happy about it. Is the hour-long meditation going on your website or for classes only? The hour-long is probably going to go on the Oakbridge website. So all of the newer meditations of sitting in the power iterations will probably be in the resource section on Oakbridge, because we're doing a whole site revamp. We're trying to make your lives better. We're trying to improve what we have, because it's, it started, 5-6 years ago, something. I don't remember when it started, but 5 or 6 years ago. And we weren't where we are now. And so now that we have, a history of, reputation, and we've expanded things and we've done all these things, it's now time to kind of like boost it back up and get it to where it needs to go. Any way to post Zoom weekly or pin to the top? I almost missed it this past week. When you say post Zoom weekly, what do you mean, Sandy? You can just unmute yourself and.
Sorry, I didn't know that we had to go back down, and because I was like, where's the Zoom link? You know how like you always get a Zoom link right before something?
Sure.
I'm like, what the heck? And I couldn't find it. So then I was like, I wonder if I have to go back here, because remember I missed week 2.
Yeah.
So luckily I went all the way down, and I was like,
yeah.
So
it's
just keep doing that.
It's just in the bottom, but just copy and paste the Zoom link and put it somewhere else, like in a file or something like that. And then you can just click it. So just have it where it's like easily accessible, and then you don't have to even go into the website to get it.
I just put it in my calendar. That's like the easiest for me.
There you go.
I need
With the link, yeah.
I got to figure out how to add it to Zoom and be on here, because right now I'm like from the phone here. I don't know what's happening.
That's okay. But yeah, that's just copy and paste that and put it somewhere, and that will help.
Okay,
So you don't have to go hunting for it. Marcia?
We're doing
there you are. I hear you
guide
now.
tour. I'm
Hello.
wondering. Oh, can you hear me? Oh,
I
I'm so
can hear
sorry.
you
Can
now.
you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, no, I was asking about the exercise with our guides to have them come close so we can feel their energetic signature.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if at some point will there be one experience, like one energetic, like one thing that we feel that we know that this is a guide, or like how does this evolve, I guess is what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, eventually there will be a situation. If you're asking for the same guide, your main guide, every single time, eventually it will become consistent. So you'll have the same experience each time when they step close to you. So this is why we tell you to write down and then look for patterns, and then eventually you will see what it is. But each time that you sit, you have to throw away your last sitting from your mind and let yourself just be open to whatever it is that they're going to bring that day. And you'll find that eventually it will start to turn into something consistent.
And then does there need to be that ask for main guide as opposed to just like
the way that we do it is main guide, only because, I mean, you could pick any guide, but whatever guide you pick, we want you to do it that same one over and over and over and over. Because otherwise you're going to, if you're like, I want this guy this week, this guy this week, this guy this week, now you're going to get all these different sort of signatures, and you're not going to know what is the signature and what isn't.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me jump over here to my neglected TikTok. If I fall asleep, I surrender to a nap. Rain check spirit. Yeah, that's fair enough. I always say if you fall asleep when you're trying to meditate, you probably needed a nap. Sitting in the power is the thing I do daily, or do I do it daily, or do you need to time to reflect between each session? You can do it daily. I would recommend doing it no less than 4 times a week. Let's see. Any other questions? I'm just seeing if there's anything here. Okay, I don't see that. Other questions here. Yes, someone's like, I didn't know that there was a different platform. Yeah, I'm actually on like 4 platforms all at the same time. Answering questions. Yeah, Kia.
Yeah, so kind of, I guess, personal to my particular circumstance, but in the absence of anybody else having questions, I'll ask. So I mentioned to you about the Vipassana meditation that I've done in the past, and actually I am registered for another one coming up in September.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just curious if that's a good idea or a bad idea, like in terms of this.
I don't think it could harm anything.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it can harm anything. As long as you do your sitting in the powers enough, right? Like, I think, when are you going?
September 30th, I believe.
Okay.
So
Yeah, no.
10 days.
And how long is it? 10 days?
10 days. Mhm.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I mean, you're still moving into an altered state. You're still moving into a meditative state. While it's not maybe necessarily the exact same focus, I'm sure it's related. And so therefore, you're probably fine with that. And if anything, it'll probably actually help. So.
Yeah, it's just, I guess I know it's a different type of meditation, and I can still find time to sit in the power, which is a little bit different. I guess my thought, worry, concern, question comes from, it's a lot. Like, so anybody who knows about Vipassana or who does it, it's just eat, sleep, meditate. And so I'm just wondering if being in that state for that long, like if it would be too intense in terms of like, now that I'm open to spirit, like will it be too intense, or it's all good?
No, I think it'll be fine. And if anything, I think it'll be supportive because you're staying in an altered state longer and just kind of getting used to being in that state. And yeah, I don't think it'll be a negative. Yeah. Other questions? I have about 4 more minutes before I have to wrap it up. So if you do have any questions, but I want to say thank you guys for creating your little your WhatsApp group. I'm telling you, having community is everything with this work. And I see such growth when people really take that on board and they really build that community and connection and friendships and all that sort of thing. The other thing I'm going to say is be kind to each other and hold space for people's process. So feelings can get hurt, people can have weird, annoying idiosyncrasies to us, right? like just learn to let people be people, right? And like know that not everybody's going to be perfect, and you're probably going to be annoyed with each other at some point, or these different things. Maybe that's not a hard and fast rule, but I'm just saying in general, anytime you start sitting with people, talking with people, those things invariably come up. And I just want to say, like, meet them from your core true self, right? And if you get triggered, recognize that you're being triggered because that's the thing that happens in all circles, all development. It just happens. And so I just want to offer that to you, is like hold space for people's, unique selves. Someone asks, is there a difference between channeling and trance? If so, what is it? The only thing that is really different is that I'm not going to say what I wanted to say, but I'm going to say this. The only difference between trance and channeling is that I tend to see that with trance, people are a bit more, they spend more time in development before kind of coming out and being like, I'm a channel of sorts. They tend to go a lot deeper into the trance states, and they provide a lot of evidence within the trance states. That's how I would differentiate. Whereas I tend to notice, because of someone who grew up in sort of the channeling time period spiritually, I've seen a lot of channeling. I channeled even myself. And I can tell you, not just from myself, but from other people I've seen, it's oftentimes more them there than they're letting on. And it's oftentimes more of an inspired speaking sort of thing at most, versus, trance mediums of the past would do incredible tests to prove that they're in a trance state. Some trance mediums were burnt, poked with needles, like all kinds of things to prove that they were in a trance state. Now, we don't need to be doing all that. But secondly, those trance mediums also would do things like book tests, which the spirit guide would come through and be like, okay, in your bookshelf looks like this, and on this shelf of the book there's a book with a gold binding and green lettering, and on page 133 you will find this passage, and they say, and then they're correct, right? I've never seen a channeler do that. So for me, I differentiate in that way because of the quality of work that I see that come out of trance mediums. But in theory, they're the same thing. A higher consciousness speaking through the person. Amazing that you've said this. It's been on my mind the last few months after watching a few trance demonstrations. Yep, definitely. Let me see if I have anything else, because I'm going to have to run. I will be going live later tonight. So if you do want to get a reading, or you do want to watch me work or do something fun and cool or whatever, you can join us tonight on wherever you're watching us, except for the Zoom. So any social media platform of mine, I kind of stream it through all of the things. I do that every Monday around 7:30. So it just depends on the day when I'm going to start. So would definitely love to have you there. Yeah, that's it for me. But thank you everybody for being here. Love that you guys were here today to utilize this really great resource that barely anybody utilizes. So I'm really glad that you were here, and taking advantage of that. Do it again next Monday. It's really, really helpful. So thank you everybody. And I will see you later tonight if I see you in the live. Otherwise, I'll see you in class. Thanks, guys. Bye. Okie dokie. Bye, guys.